What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bodacious, man. I just did an impression of someone we kind of both get a kick out of, but also I despise. I'm not going to get into who, but for those who know us personally, you'll talk about it more. Anyways, guys, we're talking about Andor episode 6, which is clearly, I think, the best episode of the season so far, and I'm gonna say technically even one of the best episodes of any Disney Plus show I've ever seen so far, and that's the last couple years. So it's a good amount of content. So very well done. And this is a spoiler discussion as always, guys. So don't forget to before we get started, please give us a like, ring the bell, and of course press that subscribe button because we really appreciate it. And of course we're not sponsored, but AMC A-List. It's there for you because there. They are.
This where heartbreak, it feels good.
That's
in a place
what
like
I mean. We need that. All of us. Oh God, I love Nicole Kidman and that. I kind of, as much as I get annoyed by it before we get started, I do like that little thing, and they're making a sequel to it. I don't know why. I don't know how, but I mean, if SNL made fun of it, which I gotta rewatch, it's actually that's when you know it's made it. That's when you know it's a big deal.
I think it's a little bit of a Stockholm syndrome type thing. At first I was like, this is so dumb, but now I look forward to it just to revel in the absurdity of it all.
Well, I saw this one YouTube clip where it's Lady Gaga's sex scene from Gucci, House of Gucci, and I always expect to see that just abruptly. I'm just like, oh, thank God it's not there. Like, I'm kind of glad it's not there because it's such a man. She gets at in that scene, like almost like primal. I don't want to get into it right now. It's a lot, but anyways, let's get back on track, Bern. You got me distracted. Not really.
I did not.
No, you did. You didn't, Bern. I know you did. Anyways, so finally the big heist has happened that Luthen put oh my God, not Diego Luna, Cassian on since episode 3, and man, it was. I thought the last couple episodes were tense, but this was just. Whew, my nerves were on a high wire, man. That was some crazy stuff, especially when they started getting really into getting closer to the base and stuff. I was like, oh shit, it's something. I kept thinking, when's it gonna go wrong? What's gonna go wrong?
Yeah.
It was just crazy stuff. I mean, what did you think of this episode, Bern?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was everything that the last 2 episodes have built up. Like that, this mission, this almost impossible mission that they're trying to pull off can go wrong at any turn, and all it takes is just one person to notice something or something that'll give them away. Anything can happen at the drop of a hat. So just like you, every time throughout this episode when once they get to the base, I'm like, okay, where is this going to go wrong? Who's going to be the one to mess up? Is there going to be a traitor in the group? Is someone just going to notice them and from happenstance? Is someone supposed to be somewhere that they're not supposed to? It's where's it going to happen? Where is the pin going to drop? So yeah, the entire time that it's all just building up to this crescendo, it's man, I was tense. It was a very tense episode, and that's kind of what you want from a heist.
Yeah, very much so. I just kept thinking also, this episode really just goes more in depth in the arrogance of the Empire and these people and just the pure ignorance that they have, where that one, the plump colonel or sergeant, lieutenant, whatever he was, basically one of the officers there, and man, he was just a dick, not only to his own family, but him and some of his other officers were proud of dwindling the population of Aldhani from a couple 100,000 to just barely a few hundred. It's fuck, that was horrible to hear. I was like, my God, you guys deserve to die right now. How are you okay with this? And they just kind of well, did we just, they basically just took advantage of that whole planet and that valley. Isn't this valley sacred to them? Well, yeah, but, they don't care. They're going to be dead probably by next year anyways, so. It was just just the disgrace, the ignorance. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that opening scene with the two those two I guess they're officers. Their back and forth was kind of what everything their personification of everything that Andor was saying about the Empire as a whole. That they're at this point, they're fat, they're comfortable, and they look down on their subjects. like dirt. Like they don't view them as like any like meaningful people. They just view them as like things that they can use. And yeah, that was very apparent from what like the way the guy was talking about the world of Aldani and the people in it, and how he's like boasting about like how after like from the last 12 years that they've been occupying this planet, that they've been able to like you said, dwindle the civilization and like all these people, and sort of stripping them away of their customs and of the way they go about their lives. And he's just so pompous and proud of himself for like the way they've been able to manipulate the people, and eventually talking about how he's gonna turn them into like a workforce and how they're gonna profit off of them. Yeah, it's very like gross like stuff to hear, and it did a really good job of setting up right away like people you want to root against. Like these Empire officers, like they're not the best people in the world. And it's interesting though that they do kind of like humanize them in a way too, like that these aren't just massless monsters. Like this guy, he's a total piece of shit, but he has a family who he is a total piece of shit too also. So it just adds a little bit more dynamism. Again, I think the show's been doing a really good job of making the bad guys a little bit more interesting. Not making them good in any way, but making them more interesting bad guys to root against.
Yeah, it's just showing like I don't know if the word is humanizing, but I guess it's more of like humans are very complex and flawed creatures. So yes, in a way it is showing how deeply flawed they are for whatever reason. Like, like that inspector, what's that guy's name? Karn? Is it Karn? From the last couple episodes?
The Gorn, yeah. The Lieutenant Gorn.
What was his name? Gorn, yeah, like how he he had a miserable life with his mom, and that's why he was
sorry.
very intense.
That's what you're talking about. Cyril Karn. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the lieutenant
okay, it was Karn.
on this planet.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm sorry. No, Karn, but like Karn, how he wants, like how he just tries to do that. And then, yeah, this guy, Lieutenant Gorn or whatever, he's a dick to his family, but he's also like, do you guys not want to get out of here? Yes or no? We got to impress our way so we can get out and find something better. It's like, all right, I guess that makes sense, but still, you're a monster.
Sorry, Lieutenant Gorn is the mole inside the
oh,
the
that's the Gorn.
I forget this guy's name though. This commander, like
the bearded douche. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just call him douchebag.
Douchebeard, yes, Captain Douchebeard. Anyways, it went pretty well. At least they were able to infiltrate the base really easily. And just when the heist was like when it started rolling, that's when it's like, okay, now we're ramping up where. They're taking people hostage, getting basically the plan was going accordingly for the most part. Who's the true believer's name? Who's that one kid, the one that has the manifesto? What's his name?
Nemec.
Nemec. I hate to say it, I kind of was suspecting of him throughout this whole episode because
really
he is the true believer. But I thought it was just a good cover, especially there were a couple parts in there where he was like. When he's talking to Cassian about, power, you're just here for the money, you don't care what happens. It could have been like, oh, so I guess I could trust you that when I betray you, you'll help me out or something like that. It could have been like that, or when they were kind of infiltrating the base, they kept, who was the blonde chick's name again? I'm sorry, I couldn't keep up with all these names.
Oh yeah, Vel. Vel's the leader of the group, basically. Yeah.
When Vel kept pushing Andor, Cassian to the front, I was like, oh shit, is she gonna be the one to do it? And then Nemec was just like, guys, I'll catch up to you. Don't worry about it. It's like, how do we know this kid's not going to set a bomb to blow everybody up or backstab? It was just one of those things. I was trying to find out who is going to snap, who's going to break down, or who's going to really backstab everybody. So I was just getting that tense scene. But then it's kind of when they got to the payload, not the payload, but the what's
like the payroll credits that they're gonna rob.
Payroll, thank you. Yeah, when that shit started happening, that's kind of when you got, like, that was a confirmation of, like, okay, who's really in here to fight? Who's going to stay behind and stuff like that? Or at least so I thought. That was a crazy scene. That was perfect for this heist where everything's going good. They're getting the payroll ready. Everything's fine. And then, but because they jammed the comms and the guy was able to pick up on their comms, it's like, oh, shit, you idiots. You didn't think about that. That when they all showed up and just had that giant gunfight, I was like, oh, this is intense, I was like, Anakin, this is tense.
And I mean, just like the way it was like set off, with the like major douchebag, like basically having a heart attack for having to do some labor, at this point of his life. I was like, damn, like that was kind of a way like that just like interesting way that they had everything sort of like go off, like that, with Lieutenant Gorn coming in and like trying to save it at the last minute by playing it off like this is a top secret mission, like there were moments where you're like, oh my god, are they gonna pull it off, or are they gonna buy this, like we said, just one little thing like this guy sort of like getting this like interference in the transmission and noticing it, like that's all it takes to kick this thing into high gear. And it's like, okay, now we need to really like move and get out of here. Like them continually to like fall behind on time wise, like again they were just building and building the suspense where it's like, all right, this is gonna pop off at any moment. And when it does here, it's like the gunfight was pretty, I don't want to say like realistic, but there was a little bit more punch to it than we usually get, in my opinion, with Star Wars, like blaster fights where, characters will sometimes just stand in the middle of a hallway and like shoot at each other, and miss. Here it felt like there was a little bit more like violence and people got hit, and they like, yeah, Lieutenant Gorn dies here, Tamron dies here. It's like, people are getting killed by these gunshots, and it's like, again, it makes it real and it makes the stakes real too. It's like, it's really well done.
Yeah, I was bummed when Gorn went down. I was like, oh shit, Lieutenant! And then, when Cameron's his name, I'm sorry. Did I hear that right? Tamron.
Yeah.
Tamron. When he tried to run for it and they got him, I was like, God damn it. That guy was a good dude too. Like they got killed off, and then their escape, thinking, okay, they'll be fine. But as soon as Cassian hit the afterburner, and dude, Nemec had to be laying in the wrong fucking spot, not like a dumbass, but at the same time, like, kid, get the hell out of there! Yeah, you're in the middle of a cargo.
It wasn't his fault. I mean, like, yeah, when he guns it, basically, like you see the three of them sort of like fly into the because they're holding on to the railings there, but yeah, like he just lands in the wrong spot in between those two big rolls of credits, and his spine gets crushed, and it's just, oh man, like I had a feeling like he was gonna bite it, but I wasn't expecting it to like be like this. I thought it was gonna be something a little bit like, something a little bit more heroic and more dramatic. But the way that people go out here, it's not. They don't spend time on it. It's almost like very matter of fact, and that makes it even more brutal, I think.
I mean, I think the one show that really kind of started setting that off was Game of Thrones with Eddard Stark dying. It's like any good true hero in a character in an adventure story or something, they'll bite it in either the worst way or the simplest way where you wouldn't assume they would die like that. So when he got crushed and he's like, I couldn't feel my legs, I'm like, oh shit, that sucks. There he goes. I hate to say this is gonna be a little fucked up, but I kind of was thinking that reminded me of Woody in Toy Story, where he's like, safer the cockpit than the cargo. What idiots! And then just when the driver's just driving, you just just, again, I know it's messed up. I'm just saying that's what it reminded me of in a sick way. Oh god!
Shame on you.
I know.
Nemec was a saint, and we needed to protect him, and we failed.
Oh man, but that scene when the eye was just full effect, all those colors in the sky was just visual magic, literally visual magic, because it's all fake. But man, that was definitely worth those people of Aldhani really going down there chanting. And I kind of brushed it over, but when Lieutenant Gorn, like, he's kind of why we kind of see why he really betrayed the Empire in this episode, because he's seen what it's done to these people. These people are walking hundreds, maybe thousands of miles to get to this valley for this event. And, he's like, oh, I'm glad you made it on such a long journey, like, being great. Like, he's like, I'm glad you guys made it here, okay? And the way it kind of was worded, I took it as, like, almost spiteful, like, oh, may the eye find the good in you. But I think that's just their greeting in general, like, oh, like, may it find good in you, like God bless you kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean that the leader of that group, he looks so much like Bryan Cranston. I could have swore that was him, but yeah, I mean he did have a lot of sass to him, with his exchanges, and Lieutenant Gorn intentionally misinterpreting like his words and stuff. Like it just goes to show, like, like it is true that he did, what was it, Vel that said it? I remember. Yeah, I remember who gave
I
us.
thought it was Cassian or Vel.
Yeah, one of them that gave the backstory of Gorn about like him falling in love with someone, and from the Aldani, and yeah, we get a sense of that, with the way like he sees him, and like sort of like the way he reacts to the way other officers talk about the Aldani people, like yeah, like you can tell like he did fall in love with this world, and it just makes this whole situation really sad, where these people basically need the empire's permission to conduct one of their own like ceremonies. It's like this is something they've been doing for probably since the beginning of their time, and now they have to go through the empire to even be afforded the opportunity to do it. So this cutting back and forth between the mission and then their celebration, it kind of showed like what, in a sense, that what the rebels are fighting for, for the people of the the indigenous people of these worlds to be able to go about their life without having to tiptoe past the empire. Like, I thought it did a really good job of showing us like who this is really for, underneath all of this.
Yeah, I mean, for better or for worse, it's like that's the rebels are fighting for the freedom of each planet to really live, because the Empire, whether you like them or not, they either they created control, or they, yeah, and that form of control was like basically being under their boots essentially. So that's an example of that. And I also thought it was really cool when from the air base those TIE fighter pilots were getting in, starting up the ships. I thought that was like, oh, that's actually pretty neat. We never really seen that done like this by stormtroopers, at least, just getting in, saddling up, and that was a really great chase scene where they're just trying to fly this ship filled with credits, and those three TIE fighters are after him in the middle of this like storm essentially of like meteors, and Nemec just give him directions, just go up. He's like, are you serious? I can't go up, look at this shit. And it's like, just go up, dude. And it's like, all right, fine, fuck it. And he just, they make it out of there. That was just great stuff. Just I like I said, I was just kind of more enamored by the visual of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, like you said earlier, the visual of the eye, this giant meteor shower that's going on, it's a striking visual, and that being the backdrop for this action sequence was amazing. Like you said, some of the best like visual stuff we've seen in Star Wars, and I 100% agree with that. Like, yeah, just that backdrop of the pilot getting into the TIE fighter with the storm in the background. It's like, I want that as a wallpaper. That thing's like really fucking cool to look at. So yeah, this whole storm thing, like I was so glad that it lived up to the spectacle that they had been building it up to be, and I was just I was along there with the Aldani people, just looking at it and just with tears in my eyes, like this is amazing.
I would just been like this, just just like, yeah, just enamored by that. But the only thing I was unclear of is what was supposed to happen to the other chick of the group. I forgot her name, but
Yeah.
was that clear in that plan, or because I was like, you guys left her behind, but I don't know if that was. I couldn't tell with that, to be honest. Did you?
Yeah, Cinta. That is interesting too, because I was kind of like wondering what her deal was, because yeah, like she's the one that was kind of keeping the commanders like family hostage and everything, and she stayed back. So I wonder like what her plan of getting out is, because we just see her walk back into the crowd with the Aldani people who are looking at the storm, her in full, officer uniform. So I wonder, like, how is she gonna get out, or like, what's her play? Like, does she plan on like martyring herself maybe for the cause, or like what's the deal with her? I'm very curious to see like where, like if they pick that up. I mean, I assume they have to pick that up. It seems like a loose end that you would want to tie up. Like where would she go after the end of all this? So, they didn't answer that, so I have that question too. So I'm assuming they might get into that next episode. Maybe, I hope so.
Yeah, I would love to see. I'm hoping Vel goes back with the rest of the credits to go get her, just to be like, hey, you and I are in this together. But of course, Skeen being the God, his name even sounds sketchy. Where they were at like that doctor's like planet or crater, wherever the hell he's at. Which I thought the doctor was pretty cool. Like, if there was ever gonna be a mob doctor or something in Star Wars, that's kind of how it would look. And they're just he's trying to save Nemec or fix him up, but then he pitches him like, hey man, like, why don't we just go to this other planet, take a ship, and you go with your credits, I go with mine. Like, we're in this together. It was like, you fucking dick. Like, these people that you've supposedly been fighting with and training with and stuff, like, oh my god. Just, I kind of should have seen that coming, but it was a toss-up, and I really, I give props to the show for writing it in a way where it's like, man, the person you should assume, I didn't assume, but then he did do it kind of thing. Like, it was solid, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because, he was the one character that was always suspicious of Andor from the beginning. He's the one that was kind of always looking at him, going through his things and like checking in on like what is his deal. Is like he's the one that was like very suspicious. So it seemed like it could go either way. Like, is he suspicious because like he too is also like sort of like not a double agent, but someone who would at the end of the day work for his own interests, or is it because like he truly believes in this group and he doesn't want someone to come in and jeopardize it? So like you said, it could have gone either way with him. But what I'm curious about is what is your like read on him? Like, do you think this was like the plan for the beginning, or do you think this was sort of like one of those things where in the situation that they're in now, like a switch in his head flipped and he saw an opportunity here to go another way with it? Do you think like that? Do you think like he pivoted, or do you think it was one of those things where this was always in him? Because he did seem genuinely caring for Nemec throughout. I don't think he could have faked something like that. I don't know what you thought.
I mean, I want to say he's been like that since the beginning, that he did have a plan to maybe just cut and run, just try and take the money and go. He waited till after it was done because Cassian was the only one who could really fly that ship out of there. He pointed that out, and he's like, oh, shit, good point. But I don't think he expected Nemec to die. I don't think he really... I wouldn't be surprised if he was going to try and kill them all off at a certain point, just to be done with it. But the fact that Nemec did die the way he did, I wouldn't be surprised if that also kind of flipped a switch where... he's not so eager to do it, but he's like, oh, man, let's just go. It's just, at what point, what are we fighting for? Like, I think that was kind of a moment of him saying, the true believer just died, and I just want to get the hell out of here, kind of thing. But that scene was kind of like, we're starting to see Cassian's cutthroat side come out more, where he did kill Skeen, but he almost had no remorse for it. He's just like, all right, step one done. Now I gotta go, kind of thing. Much more like when he was in Rogue One, like in years after. So I thought that was cool. Oh, I mean, not cool, but I just was like, damn, this is him starting to grow into himself. And Vel, like, he's just, that whole exchange with Vel where she's like, here, he wanted you to have the manifesto. But he's just like, I just want to go take my credits and I'm done with this job. I think I wouldn't be surprised if that manifesto is going to ignite the want to fight for the rebellion more so. You know what I mean? Because we still have 6 more episodes, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's gonna be like not a time jump, but that's what's gonna kickstart it.
Yeah, I mean this manifesto has been pretty heavily hinted at these last couple of episodes, so I think in either way, like it's gonna play into like what we see next, like either on the minuscule level with just how maybe if he reads it, how this changes Andor and like his perspective on the rebellion, or does it end up being a larger thing where it ends up being the manifesto that people are able to rally behind in terms of like the larger rebellion. Well again, it's something I've speculated on since they made mention of it, so I'm curious to see like where they do decide to go with it. Is it just this being the thing that leads Andor down this path, or is this something that everybody can sort of rally behind? It'll be interesting to see what direction they go in. But yeah, like him offing Skeen. It's like, yeah, like
he whacked him off. Bernie.
He whacked him off with both hands.
You may get bumped off, you may get whacked, but you're not going to get whacked off. I think we will.
but yeah, him taking out Skeen is very similar to the way like he killed those officers in the first episode. We see that Andor, when he's pushed to the limit, like when it's a choice between you or me, like he's gonna pick me. Like he's out for survival, and he's sort of out for himself. But we do see in that moment when Skeen's laying out like this plan, like, okay, we're gonna take this ship, we're gonna lay low, and then we're gonna split it in half and half. You see like the disgust in his face, where maybe if he wasn't like a believer before, this experience is starting to change him. Where once Skeen is laying out this plan, like you can see the anger building in him, and to the point where he quick draws him before he finishes his plan. So it's like, yeah, like Andor's he is cold blooded, but at the same time, we do see that now he's maybe starting to find something to really fight for. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's starting to learn the power of like, I mean, because in Rogue One he was kind of like a rogue, like he was working with K2SO, but he didn't really have a true like team or something. I think that kind of instills the idea of that you have to have you have to have people to trust, and that he thought Namek, Skeen, that they were all a pretty tight group, but I think that was the moment he was just like, wow, you really are just a piece of work. So that was him just like, you're done. That's it, buddy. You tried your own lie. And especially because he's like, I don't have a brother. And that was like, he just made up his story too with him. It was like, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Supposedly, at least.
I mean, again, that scene was so great because it leaves a lot like to interpretation. Like you could go either way. You can say the Skeen, this was the plan from the beginning. Like he's a complete liar. Like he was always going to betray the group at some point. Or this was like his survival instincts kicking in, much like Andor's kicks in because he's he makes mention like you and I are very similar. So maybe this is him, like, flipping the switch saying, we're kind of screwed now. We can make it out as winners here. And if we take this opportunity, and maybe it's one of those things where like his, I don't have a brother is just him saying, my brother's dead. Like, I don't have a brother anymore. It's just me now. I got to look out for me. So again, excellent writing in the show where even this this small interaction between Skeen and Andor speaks so much like to these characters, and you can like interpret it in any way you kind of want to, and still get to the end point and seeing what happens. It's like, yeah, like it's just again really well done. I love the dialogue on the show.
Yeah, that's this one show does have some of the best dialogue ever. And I mean, to be honest, I thought it was just going to be a simple heist and get end on that. But when we see that other Imperial officer lady and all those guys get summoned into their office, essentially their meeting room, and it's like, this is an all-nighter. Like, you guys are not going home. Tell your families, tell your staff. This is the utmost importance. It's like, it just made me realize, like, holy shit, they did just rob a shitload of the Empire's money. Like, this is not going to go unnoticed. And Luthen back at his store in Coruscant, when they're like, oh, you have anything from Aldhani? He's like, I thought I could tell he acted that so well. He's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, scared at first. He's like, oh yeah, there was a big rebel fight on Aldhani. Just wanted to see if you had anything. He's like, oh, let me go check the back. Oh, I was just kidding. Oh, okay. And when he celebrates, it's like, yes, we fucking did it. Like, this is a step toward. Even Mon Mothma at her little at the council meeting in the temple. Just her message was like, holy shit, it worked. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, like something big just happened.
Yeah, this is like a step to, I think this is kind of what drives the Empire desperate for the Death Star and all that stuff, to kind of reinstitute power in the galaxy. Because you think, oh, it's just a machine they're building to keep themselves stronger. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised now if the Death Star was like their ditch effort to try and keep control over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the way it's laid out, I think this is the first big like victory that any sort of rebellion has had against the Empire. So the Empire has basically been put on notice with this act. Like now we see like they're going to start cracking down and taking things a lot more seriously than presumably they have been for the last few years. So like everybody's kind of scrambling to like get their shit together. It's like, oh man, like it's like what Luthen said at the end of last episode. Like this could be just the beginning, and I love the mirroring with his final moments in this episode to last episode where he was very nervous at the end, and then here he has that sigh of relief and kind of like has to compose himself. Like, all right, like this is real now. Like, this is where shit gets real. Like, this is where the rebellion like starts to happen, and this is where we start making moves to go to war, basically. So yeah, this is a big moment, huge moment for the rebellion with this heist.
Absolutely. Overall, like I said, fantastic episode. One of the technically best ones I've seen on any show so far for Disney. Anything else pop out at you this episode, or did we cover it as pretty well?
No, I think we covered it pretty much. Like, again, just the show's awesome, and I hope people are watching it because this is great. This is some great Star Wars stuff.
It really is. It's another side of Star Wars we desperately needed. For those of you who did watch it, what'd you guys think? Did you love this episode? were you guys wanted to be part of that ceremony with the eye and everything of Aldani? Let us know in the comments. But we got a couple more things coming out this week, like Rings of Power is ending, so expect our season overview, last few episodes review come out. She-Hulk is ending this week, unfortunately, which I'm pretty bummed about. But you know what? It is another solid Marvel show this year. Just in general, another great one. And we got more House of Dragon coming out, so stay tuned for all that, you guys. And as always, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. As always, be good, be safe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.